Music has always been my biggest passion and my biggest love. The very first moment when I sat at the piano, aged 5, in my family house, taking over the tradition of being brought up in connection with music from my older sisters, was the very moment when the spark was ignited. Ever since then, music has been simultaneously shaping my identity and my future, and allowing me to cross borders every day. Little did I know that over 10 years later, I would find myself at a point where music crosses borders with other forms of art. At the age of 13, I was thrown into the immense and still unexplored world of percussion. Percussion is actually a really vague word to describe what I'm doing, and most of you today have a preconceived idea about what percussion is, and it's usually simplified to the most basic idea of a drum set. And I cannot count the times that I've been asked, hey, what's a vibraphone? Or if you're not playing the drum set, then what exactly are you doing? And I know the reason behind those seemingly innocent questions. And it's not the lack of education, nor is it ignorance. It's the fact that us, percussionists, can be usually seen behind the scenes. We are the people who take care of the rhythmical backbone of an orchestra, working hand in hand with the conductor and keeping the musicians intact. We are the ones that take care of all the little details that matter in a musical piece, like 3 little notes played on a triangle, or the one culminating moment where we have to hit the cymbals really, really hard. Watch out. And to top it all off, we are literally at the back of the scene, silently counting the passing 120 measures of silence in order to execute those 3 little notes on the triangle. So it's actually no surprise that people don't know what a vibraphone is unless they see it live, as today. What I want to do today is to change the way you perceive percussion and enhance your knowledge and understanding of this rather difficult form of art. Because to me, the art of percussion is way more than what we think, what we see, and what we hear. Because the art of percussion is the art of music, the art of theatre, and the art of visual representation combined together, giving way to a much more in-depth artistic expression than any other form of art. And first of all, I want to show you how exactly percussion crosses borders with those 2 other types of art, because I think it's a little strange talking about theatre when you probably have this image of the drummer in your head, just bobbing his head up and down and whipping his head back and forth. I mean, where's the theatre in that, right? I'm just joking, because I love the drum set, I love drummers. I just think that it's their way of adding the theatrical expression to their music. But when it comes to percussion, it's a whole other story. And I think that when I'm trying to explain this, the phrase theatre itself needs a little bit more clarification. I'm going to try and explain that to you. So, I believe that the instruments that I'm playing, this very large group of instruments, have greatest range of sonoristic and strictly musical possibilities. And let's take this little snare drum as an example. I'm going to show you on the go what I'm talking about. So, starting from the sound, I think that we have the biggest range of volume out of all instruments. Meaning that I can play both very, very loud, please watch out, or very, very, very quiet and soft. See, the difference is really big, and it's a difference that you won't see in any other instrument. Moving on, we also have quite a bit of color in this seemingly simple instrument, right? It's only just a membrane with some metal and wood, but I can have the thick and dampened sound when I play at the center of the membrane. compared with when I play right at the edge near the rim. And I have this softened, but yet still resonating sound. Moreover, I can actually just not play on the membrane and use the rim to play, receiving the sound that we all can hear, for example, in Latino music. Most of you will know what I'm talking about. Well, moreover, I can actually leave the sticks aside and play with my hands, scratch the membrane, or treat it as a hand drum. The possibilities are virtually endless. I can also take different sticks and, using the exact same techniques that I've just showed you, receive a completely different sound. It's very, very different. And you see, when presented with such possibilities, you would naturally think, what's up with the theater, since you can actually play a lot of variety of sounds? But I'll tell you this, the point is articulation. Articulation is influencing the length or duration or transition between notes in order to influence the character and receive different characters. So the three most basic types of articulation is the light and happy and jumpy note, which is called staccato, the heavy and held down and brave note, which is called portato, and also one that imitates the voice that's singing, and the notes flow smoothly and effortlessly into one another, and this is called legato. And all of these types of articulation are available, for example, on the piano, because, as we all know, it has a sustain pedal that lets us influence the duration of the sound. And what's interesting is that this is a vibraphone, as you may have already figured out, and it also has this sustain pedal. I want to show you some types of articulation on the vibraphone, because what's interesting about this instrument is that, unlike xylophone, for example, or marimba, which are made of wood, its bars are made of aluminium. And this allows the performer for a far greater amount of different sounds and colors to actually make. And so this is how vibraphone sounds without the sustain pedal held down. Just play with a simple mallet. It's really short, it's jumpy, it's light, it's staccato. This is how it sounds when I hold the pedal down. This is legato. And this is something that I wouldn't be able to do on a snare drum. And with that type of articulation, we actually have the amount of possibilities doubled. I can play single notes, I can play scales, I can play chords, very different things, but that actually wouldn't be very interesting to show you the whole day. What I want to show you, and what's really, I think, the most interesting for me when it comes to vibraphone, is that we can actually try and play it as a double bass. Don't believe me? Observe. And this is one of the traits of vibraphone, that it's actually unattainable for any other percussion instrument, but that's not where it ends. We actually have this particular type of articulation called glissando, which makes a downward wave of notes, and it's achieved by using another really hard mallet. For that, combined with the standard vibraphone mallet. So listen, this is a glissando. You hear that? Okay, good. I'm moving on to the last aspect of the vibraphone that I want to show you. It is that you can also prepare the vibraphone. What does it mean? A little history lesson. In the late 20th century, American composer John Cage invented the prepared piano, which basically meant that he inserted objects of various sources and made from various materials into the piano in order to have different colors and different characteristics of a sound. And in the case of a vibraphone, I could do that with a simple soda can, as well as with paper. So, just to remind you, this is how it sounds without the paper on, and this is how it sounds with the paper on. I think that you can hear the difference, that it's really dampened and not really vibrating, but actually louder to you as an audience. Okay, so I've told you all about the articulation and the snare drum and the vibraphone, so where is the point of that? This actually leads to my point of theatre being so important, because vibraphone is the only instrument where we have this availability and plenty of articulation, but on the snare drum, for example, I can't do this. I can't influence the sound as I wish, so I have to make up for it with my body. This is important to you as an audience because you will receive the legato sound in a different way to when I play like a robot or when I play like a musician. You see my arms, they are moving, they are flowing, and I am sending you a message that this is the legato sound and that their notes are supposed to be connected. So, this is the point why theatre is so important. Because we compensate for the lack of articulation with our bodies. And this is why it's so fascinating for me to be a percussionist. Because I become the music that I make. I become one of the aspects of a musical piece that make up its character. But theatre doesn't just end here. Theatre also is present in the very specific genre of music which is called musical theatre. It is really contemporary, and it's basically making actor-like and music moves to some sort of music as directed by a composer. And actually, I wanted to show you today a short piece, but unfortunately, due to time constraints, I will not be able to do so. But I encourage you all to do your own research on that matter because it's really fascinating, and I think that all of you can find something that will satisfy. Alright, so the theatrical aspect is inexorably connected with the visual aspect. But there's more to the latter than only theatre. Maybe it's not as broad a subject, but it's still worth mentioning that most pieces in contemporary music are equipped with some sort of visuals. And by visuals, I mean a presentation, a video, a short film, anything that doesn't constitute the instruments or our body as musicians. And the point also of those pieces is that they want to cross the borders between music and visuals. And by that, they work hand in hand in achieving something, and I must say that it's usually entertainment, because, for example, many pieces for snare drum are equipped with a presentation or a musical tape, because, let's be honest, it can be quite overwhelming to listen to the snare drum alone. Those pieces also want to make a statement. And it's actually made with undisputable force when you realize it, and it comes with such unexpected force that you can't stop thinking about it. And it's very important because those pieces that wish to make a statement point our heads into the right direction. It's usually a social issue, and just scream at us that, hey, this is important, this is wrong, fix it. This is a message to the society. And I have come across a piece composed by a Dutch composer, Jacob TV, called Grab It, for percussion, boombox, and the presentation. And this particular piece is interesting because the composer in the musical tape attached used the voices and screams of prisoners on death row in America. And the title itself refers to the exact opposite of what those people go through, meaning that life is worth living, so go and grab it. And I must admit that I was absolutely stunned when I realized this. And this was actually one of the moments when I realized also that music crosses yet another border. And at some point, musicians become activists. Our music becomes a statement, and our performance an inspiration. Our responsibility becomes to inspire you to push forward, but yours as an audience, to act on that push and make it count. I think that the musical aspect in percussion is quite obvious to all of you, but what I wanted to stress today is that music makes everything connected. Without music, the movements that I told you about would only be pantomime. Without music, the visuals become soulless images. And without music, the statement becomes dull and loses its power. But when music comes into the picture, everything makes perfect sense. And that perfect sense is explored through percussion and through the various means of expression, meaning the body movement, the facial expression, everything. And what I want you to know that today I am not glorifying percussion, nor am I patronizing other instruments. I believe that each musician uses their own unique expression, combined with their instrument's unique expression, to make wonderful music and touch people's hearts. What I am doing, however, is broadening your view. It's showing you that percussion is not only the drum set, nor is it the orchestral instruments even, like the triangle. It's a separate form of art, one that fills me with passion and love every day. And what I wanted to give you today is that very passion and love. Thank you.